Canelo Alvarez possibly interested in fighting Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade this September. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. ESPN has an article. It says Canelo considering Andrade for September 14th clash. Let's read. Link in the description. Middleweight world titleist Demetrius Andrade campaigned to get unified world champion Canelo Alvarez in the boxing ring with him. May have worked. Eric Gomez, president of Alvarez's promotion, Golden Boy, exchanged messages with Andrade's promoter Eddie Hearn in Matchroom Boxing on Tuesday. Then spoke to him on the telephone on Wednesday to gauge Andrade's interest in facing Alvarez on September 14th, the Mexican Independence Day weekend. Alvarez's planned next fight. That is the fight that Andrade has wanted, he said repeatedly before scoring a first-round knockdown and rolling out a shutout victory over Matt Zaleski, etc. I spoke with Eric Gomez and Golden Boy matchmaker Robert Diaz, and they asked if Demetrius Andrade would be available to fight Canelo in September. Hearn told ESPN on Wednesday, "The answer is a big yes, and although I don't think we are the first choice, it's the undisputed fight, and one Demetrius Andrade would be 100% ready for. We will see what happens over the next few days." Gomez acknowledged the discussion with Hearn, but said Alvarez also has other options. Yes, I have had a conversation with Eddie Hearn. I've had conversations with a few people about opponents. There are a few options out there for Canelo, Gomez told ESPN. We're checking out everything. Canelo has a few options, and we're exploring all these options, and we'll make the decision soon. Gomez said Alvarez was a viable opponent, adding that Canelo wants to fight the best, and we're giving him a few options so that he can make a final decision. He's in the loop on everything. Gomez said Alvarez's trainer, Eddie Reynoso, and his father, Alvarez manager, Chepo, assistant trainer, watched Andrade Zaleski and gave the thumbs up to pursue a possible fight with Andrade. They're both on DAZN. That's interest, etc. So I want to give my thoughts. On this. Sounds good, but seeing is believing. You know, I think, in my honest opinion, and I'm not trying to sound cynical, but I definitely have reservations about that. For one, Andrade just fought against Matt Zaleski, who you see on the screen, and you know, Andrade could be ready. He just came off a fight. It'd be a quick turnaround for him. But they're just reaching out to him last week. I did the math on the calendar. If you look, September 14th is literally the 10th week. So you're pushing it. It's like 9 weeks. It's 9 weeks out, you know, because I don't really consider fight week a week because fighters can't train and stuff. You're usually like pulled back and doing fight week obligations. So I definitely have reservations, in my opinion. I think some of the other names that have been mentioned for Canelo have a lot more of a pulse than the Andrade fight. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be the first to give you guys the latest and greatest information. But I don't think they really want to fight Andrade, and definitely don't think they want to fight him next. And that's just how I see it. They've talked about the other thing. To me, I look at it is Canelo Alvarez has, I don't think DAZN is where they want to be, and they're trying to scurry to figure out what's the best possible move, because there's so many options. Having options is always good, but having too many options could be a chore because you have so much to select from. And in the last few weeks, we've heard Canelo could fight Sergey Kovalev. Now Demetrius Andrade. They said he could fight Caleb Smith. They said he could fight Jaime Munguia. They said he could fight Triple G3. You know, that's 5 different opponents. And it's not just like 5 different middleweight opponents. You have Jaime Munguia, who's a 54 pounder, who would likely move up to 160, have to move up. You know, Canelo's the A side and whatnot. And he's a big 54 pounder. So just lose less weight. You know, he's in that division. But Kovalev's all the way at 175, which is a division Canelo hasn't even fought at. You know what I'm saying? So it's just all over the place. Andrade and Triple G are ready-made fights at 160. Caleb Smith is at 168. So I really think they're struggling. They're trying to figure out what's the best look. And, also they said Canelo has had some lingering knee issues, which I've seen him, in training videos and stuff. He has a knee brace and stuff like that. So I think the walls are kind of closing in for Canelo and DAZN. They're going to have to pick the right fights in a good fight. The WBC really added confusion with this whole franchise belt champion, because the WBC belt, they said that it's non-transferable. Like, even if Canelo loses, then he wouldn't lose the franchise title, which is weird because that makes Canelo like untouchable and invincible, basically. So he can lose and he still is recognized somehow as the WBC franchise champion, and he's an active fighter. It seems really weird. It's not like a basketball player, and when they retire, they retire their jersey or something. So, because they're no longer playing. You get what I'm saying? It's just weird. How can Canelo, the WBC, to me, I don't like the whole franchise title move, because you got to look at it like this. Is Demetrius Andrade, let's say he beat Canelo. If the WBC title is not transferable and they're giving you as a consolation some kind of WBC diamond belt title, which is not the original title, because Demetrius Andrade would have a diamond belt, but he can't get he can't win. Even if he beats Canelo, even if he stops Canelo, he can't win the franchise title. He would get another title, which is the diamond belt. But then you have a WBC full champion in Jermall Charlo. So this is a nightmare if you really think about it. So basically, if Andrade beats Canelo, you'll still have 3 champions. How does that make any sense? Canelo will be eternally the franchise champion. They'll give the rules, the stipulations were that Canelo's belt is non-transferable. So if Andrade beat him, then he would get a WBC diamond belt. And then you have a full champion, like not an interim silver intercontinental WBC champ. You have Jermall Charlo. I was just at his fight in Houston. Shout out to H-Town. And he has the full WBC belt. It didn't say like, interim or WB silver like Dillian White or something. So it's too confusing. Too many fucking belts in boxing. It's a nightmare, So I don't even think they're going to go the route of Andrade. I think Andrade is a name people want to see. New media wants to see him get his opportunity, because this is what they do to black fighters. They say, who is Andrade fought? Who is he beat? But then they also set up roadblocks and obstacles where he can't fight the Gennady Golovkins and he can't fight the Canelos of the world. And people make excuses. But then if Canelo ponies up and Golovkin ponies up and says, yo, I'll fight Andrade, then they'll give him credit. You see how that works? It's almost like a catch-22. If Canelo chooses to swerve Andrade and Charlo, and if Triple G chooses to swerve Andrade and Charlo, then that's good. And they'll make excuses because they know these guys are huge threats to anyone in the division, including Canelo and Triple G. But if they do make the decision, you know what, fuck it, I'm pressured, let me fight Andrade, let me fight Charlo, then they'll give props. You see how that works? So Canelo will get props if he fights Andrade. Meanwhile, until we get to that point, people are going to continue, old media is going to continue making excuses why Andrade doesn't even deserve a shot to even be able to face Canelo, to be able to face Triple G. But they know it's a good fight and they know he's a threat. That's why they don't want to see it, So sounds good. Andrade's a terrific fighter. He was styling on Zaleski. Jacobs just fought Canelo. Jacobs also had fought Zaleski, but Andrade dismantled Zaleski, knocked him down in the first round. Really awkward with the style. Andrade, you don't know what to, how Forrest Gump said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's how Andrade's style is. He came out in the Willie Nelson fight, who's 6'5". He came out mad aggressive and he was looking real good in that fight too. And then, the Jack Kukule fight, he looked a certain way. And then the Celeste, so you never really know what style Andrade is going to bring, which makes him a huge threat. And keep in mind, he has a longer reach than Canelo. And they're saying Canelo's knees are bad. Andrade he just has too many components. Charlo's also a very dangerous fight for Canelo Alvarez, based on the height, and he has a great jab, stuff like that. So I don't really see Canelo fighting in September against one of these guys. I think this is more of a decoy. Again, I'm not trying to be cynical. I think this is more of a, we have to put it out there because people are demanding these fights and we don't want it to look bad. I like basically kind of like a PR move. Eddie Hearn even said in the interview with ESPN, I don't think we're Canelo's first choice. And Canelo just fought Jacobs. He had stamina issues and lost rounds in the back half of the fight. Andrade is fully equipped to go 12 rounds for sure. His last couple of fights, he's went 12 rounds, but he's an awkward style matchup. We've seen in Charlo's last 2 fights, he went 12 rounds with Brandon Adams from the Contender and also Matt Korobov, and he even hurt Korobov in the 12th round and worked at a great pace and at a great volume. So I don't see Canelo fighting him. I think they'll go after Canelo, Triple G3 or some bullshit, Jaime Munguia. We'll see. We'll see if this is true. This article, we'll see how committed they are to fighting Andrade. They're making it like, oh yeah, I think they're doing it to save face. But new media, we're going to see who's right and who's wrong. I don't think Jaime Munguia is ready for Triple G or Canelo. I think in terms of excitement, the fight based on how he fights, they could be interesting. Not even interesting. The word is like action fights, because he doesn't have a defense, so in that regard, it'd be cool, but it doesn't really mean much, especially at 160. Jaime Munguia hasn't fought the top guys at 54, like Jermell Charlo, like Jared Hurd, like Julian J. Rock Williams, like Tony Harrison. So why do I want to see him at 160, especially coming off the Dennis Hogan performance? So, I think this is smoke and mirrors with Demetrius Andrade, and I really think the Canelo franchise title has done a number on boxing, and not in a good way, because Canelo basically can't lose. He's the franchise champion no matter what. So even if he loses, then Andrade gets another belt. It's just too many belts in boxing. Andrade's going to be the WBC Diamond champion. Canelo's still going to be the WBC franchise champion. And then you have Jermall Charlo, who's the WBA, or excuse me, I don't know if I'm saying WBA or WBC, but it's just too many fucking belts. Look, Jermall just posted this picture too. It's getting ridiculous. Look, so Jermall got the WBC regular belt. If Andrade and Canelo fight, unless Canelo wins, and even if he does win, you still have this. So as far as I'm concerned, if Canelo beats Andrade, he still ain't undisputed. Because how can he have a regular WBC full title, the title that Canelo just had, and still be with this brand new belt that they just created without having to see Charlo? So as far as I'm concerned, the WBC, in their effort to minimize the blow that Canelo obviously doesn't want to fight Charlo, they made it worse, because he still got to fight Charlo, because there's no way that you can create a new belt, avoid Charlo. He's holding the belt that you just had, and then we're supposed to recognize you as undisputed. That's like a cheat code. You get what I'm saying? That's a cheat code. So you don't have to fight. So that's like them creating another WBC belt and giving it to Dillian White, and then Anthony Joshua knocks out Dillian White again. And let's say Anthony Joshua, this is hypothetically. Let's say hypothetically Anthony Joshua was still the unified champion and didn't lose to Ruiz. That's like the WBC, moving up Wilder to this franchise champion and then making Dillian White the WBC regular champion, Wilder's old belt. And then if Anthony Joshua had all his belts and then he rematches Dillian White and then he knocks him out again, and then now he's undisputed without ever having fought Deontay Wilder, that's some bullshit. That don't even make sense. That, to explain in the comment section in detail how that makes sense. So you basically created a position with Wilder and elevated him, and then AJ wouldn't have to fight Wilder to be undisputed, even though that's the long-standing fight that everyone wanted to see, Wilder and Joshua. You could just bump Wilder up to this mythical belt and then give Dillian White, who's ranked with the WBC, the regular belt and upgrade him from the silver belt. And then Joshua just has to fight Dillian White and doesn't have to see Deontay Wilder and we're supposed to recognize Joshua as the full undisputed champion of the heavyweight division? Nah. As long as Charlo got a belt, then Canelo has 2 fighters to fight now, Andrade and Charlo, if he ever wants to be undisputed. The pressure's on. The walls are closing in. Canelo said he wanted undisputed. And that's just the reality, cold hard facts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We'll see if this is just a PR move to put Andrade's name in the mix, or we'll see if he's selected. That's it. New media. I can't wait. Countdown begins now. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.